Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing? Thanks so much for coming this evening to the 2021 Unscripted Twillingate Digital Arts Festival. My name is Mark Manning. I'm your MC. Thanks so much for coming. Once again, this is going to be a great evening. A great friend of mine is going to be performing here this evening, and I'm very, very happy to get to catch it myself, and I'm sure you are as well. Rozalind MacPhail, you may have seen or heard Rozalind around Twillingate this summer on her bicycle, singing her heart out, practicing her flutes, and filming around the town. Personally, I know Rozalind is one of the hardest working musicians and artists that I've ever met in my time as a musician and artist myself. And we're in for a treat here this evening because Rozalind, over the last summer here, has been the artist in residence in Twillingate. And this evening she'll be sharing some of her gorgeous audio-visual creations inspired by all different parts of Canada, Twillingate, and beyond. So, Inspiration Soup. I was asked to encourage all of you to engage when Rozalind comes out to perform. Rozalind is going to ask us to engage back and forth with her at times, and I encourage you to do so. Once again, thank you very much. I would like to welcome Rozalind MacPhail to the stage. Thank you.
so lovely. It is so beautiful to be here tonight and to see such a gorgeous day that we had today. Wasn't that sunset one of the most magical experiences you've ever had? Oh, I couldn't believe it when we were doing tech check before the show. I kept looking out every window and trying to take as many pictures as I possibly could because it's just so beautiful. I am blown away by Twilling Gate, and it has been such an honor to be here as an artistic resident through the Unscripted Festival. I have been spoiled rotten. So it's a pleasure to be here. Inspiration Soup, what's that all about now? It's a pot of different things. Some of the audio-visual projects that I've worked on in the past and currently in Twilling Gate. Also inspiration, ways to help you feel creative, help you feel inspired, and help you get back into the flow if you're feeling a little stuck. Anyone who's tuning in online, I welcome you to share observations, thoughts, anything that you're feeling in the comments, and Mark will be taking good care of you, I promise. That film was called Victoria Street, and it was created by Gina Ray Anderson. Gina Ray is such a beautiful person, and one day she had this idea. She wanted to meet all my neighbors on Victoria Street. I've lived on Victoria Street and lived in 3 different houses now on that street. And I remember the first time I drove up that street, when I first moved to Newfoundland, I thought my car was gonna fall backwards. And so one day in the summertime, we met all my neighbors, and it was such a heartwarming experience. So today's presentation, I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch of things with you, and it's almost going to be like speed dating. I want you to pull out your cell phones if you have them, or a journal if you have one, anything to write with, whatever you feel like. I encourage you, since we are a digital arts festival, to definitely use your phone if you have it. And use your notes to jot down any thoughts you have. So similar to speed dating, it's kind of like that first impulse, that first reaction. And as I ask you these questions, I want you to write down your first word or your first thought. And we're going to go through it quickly because none of us can miss the fireworks. Sound good? Okay. So first I'm going to share with you a little bit about my journey and how I got here on this stage. And I'm going to help you find your true calling. I'm sure all of you already have found your true calling, but for some of us who may be a little bit hesitant on where we're going, I'm going to help you out. Also, sharing my creative process with you, things that help juice my creativity, and how to get in the flow if you're feeling stuck. You all have something truly special to share with the world. Nurture your gifts and watch that magic happen. Here are some of my career highlights, a little bit about me, right? Why is this crazy flute player on this stage? I think the thing I'm most proud of is touring across Canada 5 times by myself, especially in all the different clubs that I played at, which were quite male-centric, and definitely one of the only flute players playing in many of these clubs where the competition was tragically hip on the stereo. I've also toured the US, Scandinavia, and Europe, and I must say hello to my Swedish and Danish friends who may be tuning in late at night. So this is a big one for me, and I struggle with it all the time. Stop worrying about what others think. You do you. Isn't it interesting how often we're so concerned about what others think, about our actions, who we are, and especially in a small town, this seems to be ultimate high, right? So I grew up on a small island. And it's Toronto Island, and I know there's one Toronto Islander in this room right now, which is really, really cool. Listen to your heart. It will always guide you towards magic. So these are some pictures of the ferry coming back from the city, and one of my favorite spots to hang out on the island. I used to love playing in nature. I was quite the loner when I was younger. I just didn't fit in. Surprise, surprise. You know, it was a bit of a lonely childhood, but I really embraced nature, and I felt so inspired by music. So here's the speed dating questions for you. What are some things you dreamed of doing when you were younger? Can you remember? Of course, that's before you were told it wasn't possible. For me, it was to be a soloist in front of the orchestra. Do you remember someone from your younger years who nurtured your gifts? And what did they encourage you to try? I know for me, you know, growing up, I would get on a table and I would stand there and just be like, introducing Rozalind MacPhail. I was a performer from a very young age. Luckily, when I was on the island, I had some really influential people in my life. I was that ugly duckling growing up, and I developed really bad asthma. And I used to have to wear a machine to school, and they used to call me Darth Vader. It was a pretty horrible experience, but my grandmother read an article in the newspaper about how playing wind instruments helps asthmatics learn how to control their breathing better. Well, bless her heart, and this concert tonight is actually dedicated to my grandmother. My grandmother passed away 2 days after I got here for my artist residency. And she's a beautiful woman. And I've been thinking about her all day today because she is the reason why I began the flute. And funny how serendipity always happens. There happened to be a flute teacher, one of the best flute teachers in Toronto, living right down the street. So there I was. I started to play the flute, and I just loved it. And I went to Etobicoke School of the Arts for high school, and it was almost like Fame. Does anyone remember the movie Fame? Yeah. Like, I wanted to be in that school, and I went to that school. So here's some lessons I learned during that time. I was practicing nonstop. I would take the 6:45 boat in the morning to get to school. I would practice before school. Then I would practice during any break, any lunch, and I would stay at school and catch the last boat at 11:15. And I would do that Monday to Friday for 5 years. Build your foundation was the big part. It's so important to build our foundation in anything that we want to do as a career. To disown your fears is so important as well. To just be fearless, and at that school, I could do that. And I learned to spend time with people I admire. Unlike public school, when I went to high school, I was able to shine. My teachers encouraged me to dream as big as I could imagine. I also learned to approach everything with a beginner's mind, and how we're just so much more open to soaking it all in. And of course, taking daily action. That daily practice was everything. So here's where I got tricky. My university years. I learned that every struggle we go through helps prepare us for the bigger picture, but it wasn't an easy lesson to learn. But I also learned success is the ability to go from mistake to mistake without losing your enthusiasm. So I leaned into the discomfort. I was in a school that wasn't meant for me. I still had this vision that I wanted to be the soloist in front of an orchestra. I was fighting to develop my technique on my flutes. I was practicing 6 hours a day, and I was practicing so hard to keep up that I developed tendonitis in both of my arms. Then I went to another university for my master's degree, and I discovered quickly that my academic advisor and me didn't see eye to eye. One day, after my first year of university in the master's program, he sat me down and he wanted to have a heart-to-heart talk with me, and he said, "You know, Rozalind, I feel like music's not meant for you, and especially not the flute. I think you should pick another occupation." Well, it got worse. He failed me from the program, which meant I could not return to finish my master's degree. Still to this day, I have not gone back to finish that master's degree. It was so hard for me to hear somebody telling me that I couldn't be the soloist in front of an orchestra, because everything in my heart believed that I was meant for the stage. 6 months after not playing the flute at all, which happened to be the most miserable time of my life, another university professor who gave me an A- in his course at the same university said, "I have a flute teacher you need to go to. She will turn everything around for you." And thanks to him, I picked up the flute, and within a couple months, I was on CBC radio being recorded at the National Gallery in Ottawa. Embrace the unknown. I had no idea what was ahead of me, but I persisted. So what I did is I tried to find different ways to share my craft. I always loved jamming with my dad when he was playing his guitar. And so I started jamming on my flute with all my favorite singer-songwriters in Ottawa. And little did I know, I started getting this nickname, Mystery Flute Girl. And I started playing with all these really famous bands. So here we are about you. Do you remember a moment when you resisted making a change you knew would be good for you? What were you avoiding? Did the same message keep coming back to you until you made a shift? Are you currently avoiding something? Write down whatever comes to your mind and name the things that scare you the most. Is there something you're willing to let go of in order to make room for the unexpected? What situation, what person, or thing comes to mind? These are tough questions to ask ourselves, but they're important questions. And if anyone wishes to have the questions after Inspiration Soup, I'd be happy to email them to you. I'm going to share a film with you by Scotland's Shona Thompson. And this was inspired during our residency, a different artist residency in North Carolina. And Shona took every moment from a 1940s black and white film where someone is gazing back at you, at the camera. It's such a kind of eerie feeling, but also familiar feeling to watch the film, and it always gives me goosebumps. the screen, look into your eyes. I can see there's something burning within you. A story to tell, a song to sing, secrets never to impart, sitting where you once sat. I gaze back, I gaze back, I gaze back, I gaze back. With my own songs, stories, and secrets from a landscape that's familiar. Inspired, I continue to gaze. Inspired, I continue to search. I gaze back, I gaze back, I gaze back, I gaze back. Oh, you are such a gracious audience. I think this is my third performance this year, compared to touring all year long. And it's just warming my heart so much. Thank you very much. So dream. And as you dream, realize only you can make your dreams come true. I had to kind of come up with my own ideas of what my purpose is, and I'm going to read it to you. It's changed over the years. The purpose of my life is sharing. I can't read what it says. And spreading. I think it's sharing, nurturing, and spreading the magic and love of life through music, yoga, connecting with others, traveling, teaching, healthy living, delicious food, film, dancing, performing, and playing in nature. So remember, this is speed dating here. Write down some things that interest you. Go. What lifts you up? What energizes you? What empowers you to make a difference for others? That's a big one. What gives your life meaning? What makes you lose track of time? Whose work do you admire the most? That gives us a clue to what we really dig for our own lives. And what qualities in these people do you admire? First reaction, don't overthink it. In a perfect world, what would you be doing? And something I've been learning a lot about is that I don't dream big enough. So dream big when you think about this. And ask yourself, I feel closest to my purpose when? Could it be helping others? Could it be teaching others? Whatever it is for you, how do you feel you're closest? What creates your spark? What lights you up inside? What feels most meaningful and important to you? And I love this one. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as salty and crooked? Probably not. But I'm sure you can think of some beautiful qualities inside of you, and that's probably how you want to be remembered. So focus on taking one tiny step today towards something that lights you up inside. A different future requires new actions, different actions. And make it something super simple to achieve. And as I perform the next film, I want you to write down all these things that you've been thinking about over the past bunch of speed dating questions and see what you come up with. The next film I'm going to share is called Alders. And it's from a project called Don't Let Me Fall Too Far. And it was a collaboration with a wonderful filmmaker from New Brunswick, St. John, New Brunswick, named Raven Blue. And he had this amazing audiovisual project that he wanted me to be a part of. And I wanted all of the group to go on tour with me, but they have families and they have jobs and things that keep them, staying in St. John. And so Raven was so wonderful and gracious to me. He said, Rozalind, create your own version of this project and take it on the road. It's going to be with my piccolo, the small little instrument here. And what I love about this instrument is when I practice it, I know I've definitely been annoying the neighbors. And you're going to hear a whole bunch of effects with it. Here's my MIDI foot controller. This is what I use to do all the looping and all the triggering, so when you're watching my feet kind of move around, that's what I'm using. I also have this pedal. It's an expression pedal, and a lot of guitarists use it, but I love it on the flute. And then this pedal is a vocal effects processor, and this helps me create all these trippy sounds on the flute that you're definitely going to hear in this one. So I encourage you to even close your eyes sometimes and just hear the stereo trippy vibes that I grew up with in my childhood flower girl days with my hippie parents.
been watching me all this time. You know I always want to follow you down into the alders. You see the beacon on the island never gave up, and I'm a little scared to give in. Don't let me fall too far into the spiral sky.
It's very strange. We have some issues going on with internet tonight. There are beautiful pictures in all of this, but they seem to be missing. I'm wondering if we can refresh this screen and see if it'll come up. See what happens. One back, I think. Just see if we can get this on the go. Don't you love being in the moment? Isn't it great? Right? You never know what's gonna happen. That's the one thing I've really learned about flute looping. You know, get your flute on. But there's crack notes all the time, and it's a devil of an instrument to play. So here we go. We got to also improvise with technology. And let's see if it comes up. Well, it's not going to, so we're just going to improvise. We're going to talk about the recipe for creativity. So I'm going to share this screen with you, and I want you to look at it and see what pops up for you first. And that's your calling of what's good for you right now. I'm going to pick one real quick. Dance like no one's watching. Oh yeah, that's the one for me. And I do it all the time in the music studio. I dance like no one's watching, and it keeps me alive. These are all different things that I use in order to keep my creative juices going. Because even though I'm an artist, it doesn't mean I feel like practicing. I have to keep it going all the time. One thing that I've been working really hard on during my residency is to celebrate my achievements, big and small. Because as an artist, we constantly have failures happening. But we have to celebrate those little moments every day of things that we're achieving. Some other things that I use in order to kind of dream big and keep things flowing and try to just get that momentum going is I use vision boards a lot. And I've used it throughout my life. Does everyone know what a vision board is? Some of you? Yeah. Okay, so a vision board could be anything for you. I tend to be a kind of written word type of person, so I'll make, I get a big bristle board, and I just write down all the things that I dream of achieving, or dreaming of receiving, or dream of giving. You can also use pictures to visualize, like maybe you want a brand new car, and maybe you have like the perfect idea of what car you want. Plant that picture on the vision board. It's interesting because I've even done it for places I want to tour, and I had this dream of touring in Sweden and Denmark, and I put pictures up there, and lo and behold, I was there a year later. It really works. Other things that I do, I read affirmations and I write affirmations. Like before I started this show tonight, and I do this with all my flute students too. I say, I'm awesome. I've got this. I'm having so much fun. And I say that over and over again. So me in the green room back there, that's what I was doing before I came on the stage. Journaling is also a really great way to write out what you're working towards. And, has anyone read the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron? Go check it out if you haven't. And she really emphasizes writing in a journal, a daily journal, at least 3 pages of whatever you're thinking about. It can be, I don't feel like writing in my journal for every sentence for 3 pages. See what magic happens with your creativity when you do that. Reading too, reading inspiring quotes or books really, really helps. Creating goals is a big part of being an artist. What do I want to achieve today? What do I want to achieve this week? What do I want to achieve every 90 days? And constantly evaluating where I've gotten with it all. And then how do I want to be remembered? And thinking in the bigger picture, 1 year, how do I want to be remembered? Do I have a vision of where I'm going to be in 5 years, or even 10 years, or even in a lifetime? So now I'm going to share a film with you by a Newfoundland filmmaker. Has anyone seen the film called People of a Feather? No? Okay. I highly recommend you find it. It is just a breathtaking film for the cinematography and the score. Dwayne, was it Curtis or Dwayne? I think Curtis or Dwayne Andrews, I think it's Curtis, did the music score for it, and it is just such a breathtaking film. When I saw that film, I was kind of motivated to talk to Joel, the director, and just be like, Joel, do you want to be part of my Head First project? I'd really like you to create a film about Nunavut. And so this is what he created, and I'm not going to tell you any more than that. You're just going to get to experience it yourself, and once again, I encourage you to take notes if you're inspired by anything that you experience throughout it. And I want you to guess what imagery the flute is playing upon. funny, as I was playing that, I was thinking, how could I forget who created the score for People of a Feather? That's what was going on in my mind. And interesting enough, I think it's because I'm so in love with the player who played the drums on that track. Do you have a guess of who played the percussion? Curtis Andrews. He did a fantastic job. So let's chat about how to get in the flow. And you're just gonna have to be okay with the fact that we're missing all the images. So that just means, you gotta use more of your imagination. The flow is an amazing thing, and I tap into it all the time when I'm on the stage. And some of the things that I kind of recognize when I'm in that flow is that it's like this peak performance and this like heightened awareness and like complete focus and attention and increased creativity. It just makes me giver. There's this timelessness that happens. I can be playing for 10 minutes and it feels like 10 seconds. And there's this sense of control, this control in my playing. All those nerves go away, and I just feel one with my instrument. There's a clarity. I can almost feel what's happening in the room, and I've been feeling this tonight in this amazing space. I mean, this is just the most beautiful space to perform in. And I must say, like, Mike, you have just like created such an oasis for us musicians. The other thing too I have to say is, like, Denver, you are a remarkable sound engineer. And he makes us sound so good. The other cool thing, is that, like, there's this warmth when you come into this space. And I think it also has to do with the warm vibes of Clint. Clint, wherever you are, I just want to say thank you. So these guys are in the flow all the time. They have to be on top of their game. There's no obstacles, no self-doubt, no fear whatsoever, only feelings of pleasure and happiness. To be in the flow is a full-time job. To get myself in the flow on the stage really is a full-time job, and a lot of it has to do with self-care. So these are some of the things that I use to really help me tap into that over and over again. Exercise is a big part. For me, I love yoga. And one of my goals during my residency has been to lose the weight from COVID. And I've been doing Bikram yoga every morning to try to keep myself feeling in balance, feeling in shape. Being present is another one for me, to be in the moment and to find stillness in my day, even if it means waking up an hour and a half before I have to officially start my day. Getting good rest. I am like a really cranky person if I don't get enough sleep. I know some of us can handle it, not this girl. So if you see me acting like a bear, be like, Rozalind, do you need to get some rest? Drinking more water is a big one too. I often, can catch myself being dehydrated, and so I really encourage all of us to think about drinking more water and turning off technology. We can get so obsessed with our phones and our, tablets and laptops. So, turning off that technology and getting lost in nature, that's a big one. And Twillingate has been teaching me so much about that. I've been in love with Smith's Lookout and the Dumpling. And just spending time there, observing how the flowers change. I heard the yellow flowers are called butter and eggs. And I love, getting up there and eating all the blueberries and thinking I'm the only one that gets the blueberries on the hill. Or watching all the beautiful sunsets and how they change every day. I know you've all heard this before, but the light in Twillingate is like nothing I've ever experienced. I have been in awe with the light, especially during twilight. It's magical. So getting lost in nature for me, while I've been in my artist residency, has been huge. Flow reminders. There's two really good ones, but you know what? We're gonna move on because I think everybody's in the flow in this room. So what happens when you're stuck? Because we all get stuck. There's not any of us in this room who haven't felt stuck. So once again, I encourage you, like speed dating, look at the screen, see which one pops out to you. For me, I think it's show up every day and not to give up. I remember a friend, when I was doing an artist residency at the Banff Center, once said to me, you know, Rozalind, there's gonna be these times in your career where you're totally gonna wanna give up. And she's like, let me be your reminder. Let me be your little angel in the back of your head that says, don't give up. Because the thing is, just as we're ready to give up, that's usually when the magic happens, isn't it? It's like once we accept what's happening, then all of a sudden we create all the space in our lives for magic to come into our lives. I think another one here is, you know, when your times are hard, and trust me, like I go through a lot of hard times in my career, I remind myself, like I let myself feel sad and I let myself feel disappointed, like when I don't get like a huge amount of money that I've applied for a grant to do a big project. That happened to me during my residency. Or when I find out my grandmother passed away at the beginning of my residency. There's all these kind of surprises that come our way, and I let myself be sad. I let myself be disappointed. I sleep on it. And then the next day, I get up and I say, today is a new day. So here we come to the last song of the program. And I want you to stand up, give yourself a stretch before we move on, because you've been sitting down for a while. Get yourselves up and give yourself a stretch. Doesn't it feel good? Yeah. Feels great. And also, if you feel like dancing to the last song, feel free. Like, whatever you feel like doing, please, like, this is your space to just be you. So, you're missing the beautiful photo of Smith's Lookout, but we're gonna improvise on that one. This is a world premiere. While I've been in Twillingate, I've been working on a whole number of projects, and I have been inspired so much that I'm going to create a short album called an EP of songs that I'm creating while I'm here, and I hope to create films to go along with all of them. And this is the first song that I'm going to include in the album. Never Let Go is about, it's a sad tone. It's about having to deal with the fact that you're leaving a loved one behind due to a serious illness. Joshua Jameson is a phenomenal filmmaker from St. John's, and he invited me to score his film called Waiting Outside. And I composed it for omnichord, voice, and flute. The ending credits of that film were so cool because we actually included the feature song of my score in that spot of the film. Joshua Jameson came to me one day and he's like, I have a poem and I want you to read it and see what you think. And I read it and I was so blown away by this poem. And so we collaborated on creating lyrics for the song, Never Let Go. Well, I tried to shoot footage with my husband Josh in Bowring Park where the film takes place. And we tried to do it over the winter. I think we had 2 people and myself, and in a big snowstorm. And like, it was brutal. It was so hard to shoot this footage of me lip syncing to the song, and we just like had an iPhone to like play the track, and I couldn't hear it, and I'm like trying to lip sync. It was ridiculous. So we looked at the footage later, and there was something about it it just didn't resonate for me. So then we tried again. We picked a better day, still with snow, trying to get like everything in place, and it just, once again, it just like didn't work. So I was like, okay, we don't have what we need yet. So here I am in Twillingate. Like within the first couple of days, I'm so inspired by every place that I'm experiencing. Nikki takes me all over. Nikki, our program manager for the festival, bless her heart. She takes me in her car to go see where the old ferry was, and I see that boat wreck, and I'm just like falling in love with all of these places. And I'm like, wouldn't it be amazing? Vilma had given me a bike to use during the residency, so like I've been getting in shape with this bike, man. It's been great. And so like I imagined, why don't I shoot some footage of me riding my bike to all of my favorite places that I've visited in Twillingate? And so there I met Julian Earle. Now, what a gift Julian is to Twillingate. He has such a warm heart, and he is so professional, and he has this eye with a great shot. So we got Julian on board to use his drone, and my husband Josh has been helping as well, kind of as the director of photography. And we shot all this great footage, and it was amazing because as we were shooting, we met Charlie. And Charlie gave me this beautiful bouquet of flowers, which was like, oh, it just like made my day. He's like, why don't you shoot at the pumpkin house? So then the next day we're heading over to the pumpkin house to shoot some footage there. There were so many shots that there's like no possible way that I could include all the magic of Twillingate. So the rest is gonna have to be included in the rest of the songs that I composed for this album. But Never Let Go is a mixture of Twillingate, which to me is so beautiful for the story that's being told, and then Waiting Outside the Film by Joshua Jameson. First time performing it, this is like a really special moment. Oh, really special moment, so thank you very much. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
is high. Oh, this broken body opens my eyes. I'll be missing too much of your life. Oh, don't forget you're strong inside. My love for you will never die. I'll be forever by your side. Never let go of your light. 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 Never let go. Never let go. Never let go.
Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. You just made my year. Wow, I'm so moved and so touched. It takes a village to do what we do, and I really want to thank my partner in crime, Joshua Jameson, who's actually been working in the back here to synchronize the presentation and the films that you're seeing. And I do want to thank Julian Earle again, because he just put everything aside and spent 3 beautiful days with us. And I know this is just the beginning of our beautiful collaborative relationship. And so wherever you are, Julian, I'm sending you love. Mwah. We are at the end of the program, and I think we're in time for the fireworks. So I'm amazed. I'm sorry I sped you through all those questions, but I really didn't want you to miss the magic of tonight. I want to say a huge thank you to Vilma and Deborah and the whole board of Unscripted. You know, it's one of these things, us artists need those moments in our lives to recharge, to, express ourselves in a different way, have a new perspective. And during this residency, I have been given so many gifts that wouldn't have been possible if I wasn't here. You've opened your arms to me in the community, and I feel like family, and I really don't want to leave. It's so much so that I'm actually going to try to extend my stay here for another 2 weeks. So if anyone in the room knows of a place where I can stay for the last 2 weeks of October, let me know. Yeah, and I'm just going to soak it all in. I've been meeting the most amazing people. I met Ted Stuckless, and that man is a genius. And I have my heart set on trying to celebrate him through one of my pieces. I've already written a song inspired by his beautiful painting, Pulling Together. And I want to just soak it all in and just really enjoy all of you. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in online. This has been such a special experience, and I'm truly honored and grateful to be up here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Can we have one big hand for Rozalind MacPhail? Beautiful performance. Just like to remind everybody that tomorrow evening, Carolina East will have a show here at the gate. Also, the art exhibition will be ongoing tomorrow. Dart Talks and the Artist Talks are all through the weekend. You can register online at unscriptedfestival.com. And don't forget about the 2 contests that we have running. One is a 10 to win, which you all down here this evening. Your name is in for a prize. And also the photography challenge. And all it is to give, you have to hashtag unscripted festival or tag at on the, I'm not very good with social media, folks. Don't mind me. Just at on the different social medias. There you go. There you go. That's how far along I can get with it. Thanks so much, folks. Thanks for coming. Unscripted Twillingate Digital Arts Festival 2021.